And here we are again with Lessons with Larry, episode 46. Why is it so hard to forgive and easy to hold grudges? With co host Stephanie Winfrey and Money Mike. And here's Larry.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. That was a beautiful introduction. I appreciate that, Mr. George
Thank you.
F. Grundy II. You understand me? I like to thank my distinguished guest, Miss Stephanie, for coming out. You know what I mean? Stephanie Winfrey, in case you don't know. And then we got Money Mike to my right. You know what I'm talking about? And yeah, good to see y'all. You know what I'm saying? And today's subject is, pretty much it's something that needs to be talked about on a serious note.
Absolutely.
Forgiveness. It's forgiveness. And when it comes to forgiveness, I found myself that I'm quick to forgive me, for my transgressions and my shortcomings. I forgive myself. And I'm so cold at forgiving me, I forget.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I done had people bring like, you remember when you did such and such, and I'm like, nah, and can't remember because I done actually forgave myself. But then we say we forgive other people, and then we say we forgive other people, and yet 3 years down the line, you can still remember what they did. Mm-hmm. So is that truly forgiving? No, I don't think that's forgiving. You know what I mean? I think no, that ain't forgiving because they say forgive, don't forget all these cliches. They say forgive, don't forget. Yeah. But okay, what would you tell your creator that? The one that you asked for forgiveness from, would you tell them, hey, forgive, but don't forget now? Or would you say forgive me and forget about it? What would you like? Somebody else feed into that for me.
I don't know. I mean, how can you forget though? You can't just
easily. Hold on. I just said,
how can you forget?
Because you truly forgive. When you truly forgive, you will forget.
Not necessarily.
I done did stuff and I done forgave myself and I forget and somebody bring back up to me and I'm like, what you talking about? I ain't did nothing. But yeah.
I can forgive, but I don't think some of the things I could forget about because this is my thing. We learn from our lessons, right?
Yep. I agree.
And sometimes when we make our mistakes and we do things,
they keep repeating themselves.
But that means you might forget about it and be like, dang, I did it again. So are we learning because we're forgetting? Because you're saying you're supposed to forget about it, right?
I mean, in essence, if you truly forgetting something, it's like if you say you forgive me, then why is you bringing up something that you supposed to forgave me for and I haven't repeated it? I haven't done it again.
But that's that's different. Now that's actually not forgiving.
That's the same. I mean, that's kind
right.
of
But if you don't bring it up no more,
right? Yeah, I think it's a formality to it. Like I'm hearing what you're saying. I agree. Now, if you forgive a person, we quite naturally some of us we have good memories, and it ain't that you're gonna remember something regardless whether it means something or
Absolutely.
not because it's an experience that took place. Now, if you sit and say you forgive a person, but then the first time some come up a misunderstanding, they throw up that what you did, then they didn't forgive you for it. But I don't, when you get into that, it can be touchy when you use the phrase forgive and forget. We got memories.
Yeah.
So you're gonna remember something.
And that's that's how the God created our brain to remember things.
Well, if that's the case, then how many times have you done something to someone, or how many times have you done something to someone and you forget about it? Because you didn't actually forgave yourself.
Well, I look at it like this. I don't forget a lot of things I've done to a person. I've done some, and especially, depending on the impact that it had on that person. That's why if you pay attention on these shows that we do, at times I share about the things I've done wrong, you understand, and how I feel about it. But, I ain't forgot it, but I don't hold it against, nobody. I look and take self accountability for it, but it's not a thing that I forgot it. What I done to somebody, no.
So let me ask you this: So you remember everything that you've done to somebody, or everything, every which way you've offended somebody in your life?
Well, in all honesty, sometimes you may not even know you've offended a person. But if it became an encounter and a person addressed it with you, you're going to pretty good chance you're going to remember that.
And I think memory is good because then it's like a block where, okay, now I'm not gonna, like I said, you're not gonna do it again because now you remember what happened before that. When that happened, okay, I'm not gonna do it again because I now remember what happened the last time. So if we forget and and then now you become a repeater.
Like getting a speeding ticket. You feeling good. You know what? I got this good motor.
So
You
we
get a ticket.
so we have Alexandria Lopez. She said forgiveness and forgetting are separate processes. Forgiveness involves letting go of anger and resentment, while forgetting is about the ability to recall or remember an event. It's possible to forgive someone for a wrongdoing without forgetting what happened.
Now,
I
how does
agree.
this
I
affect the
agree.
relationship?
I agree with that.
How does this affect the relationship?
Thank you.
That's what
Thank
I
you,
want to
Miss
know.
Alexandria.
Yeah,
You said
thank you.
Alexandria, correct? Yeah, yeah. Thank
How
you for
does that affect the relationship?
Alexandria. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Miss Alexandria.
When somebody do something to someone in a relationship, how does that register?
Most people don't forget within the relationship because of the pain that was associated with it, whatever, you know.
Okay, but where there's forgiveness. So, but now you say I'll forgive you for that, but then something later on trigger it. But you say forget, but then there's triggers.
So like I said,
You
that's
got
why
triggers.
we on the topic of
Right.
why is it so hard,
Why it's so difficult to
Oh,
forgive.
difficult to forgive.
You
Oh,
got
joint.
triggers. Yeah, I got.
Yeah,
No.
But you
and
got triggers,
in like a relationship.
Even though you try to forget about it, and I want to
Yeah.
forget. Okay, let's move on. We're gonna forget this even happened. Moving on. But then something trigger it, like, oh, here it go again. So did I honestly forgive that person?
When you say trigger it, is it that they done something else, or
Yeah.
that mean they done something else to offend you?
Not maybe the same thing, but
But
in the
something else,
same, yeah,
neighborhood of it.
yeah.
So then your response is like, hey, now I forgave you for this, but here you go with some of the same type of stuff again or something. So
So do I
basically,
got to re-forgive again?
well, basically, that's like a repeated offender, and you
There
have to
you
have
go.
your boundaries of what's your limit of enough's enough, and hey, you're not getting it.
Exactly.
We have to have boundaries with things.
Yeah.
But and yeah, that's true too. But that's just like if you ask for forgiveness for your creator, whoever you uh, associate yourself with, or whoever you ask for forgiveness from. If you ask for forgiveness from, you are not trying. You don't want him to come the day of judgment.
Absolutely.
You're not saying, "Hey, remember, make sure you don't remember. Make sure you don't forget what I did." You know what I mean? I know you forgave me, but just make sure you don't forget it. You know what I mean? Now, and the reason why I said it was easy, it's easy to forgive and forget because I done did some things and I forgave myself for it. You know what I mean? And I forgot about it. You know what I mean?
So when you say you forgive yourself for it, does that mean that, okay, you forgive yourself for what you have done to another person?
Yeah, like say for instance, I might have done something to somebody and then I seen I offended them and I was truly, seriously, you know what I'm saying, remorseful.
And apologetic.
Yeah, and apologetic for it.
For
So
right.
and after I do that, when I
You let it
exercise
go.
that, I let go. I ain't holding on. It ain't gonna happen again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Right.
before it would happen again, my mind would tell me, "Hold on, you just apologize for that." You know, you find yourself in a position to where you had to backtrack and retract that statement.
Okay.
Due to the pain that it caused, or whatever, how it offended someone or made them feel.
Yeah.
But then I forgive myself for that. So if you come to me 5 years later and you talking about that, I'm not gonna know what you're talking about because I didn't forgave myself for it. But what I found was the only person that I was able to forgive and forget was my own stuff.
Now,
Right.
when you may have done something to
I'm gonna
somebody and
piggyback
then
on that.
5 years later they bring it back up, like I ain't gonna remember that. Is it that you ain't gonna remember it or you blocking it out?
No, I just forgot
Because
about it.
you don't have a bad memory like that,
Yeah,
and we can remember
yeah, I can remember all the way
certain
back when I was
things,
3. You know what I'm
right?
saying? But
So
certain
It's just a
things, but not
blockage.
everything. And then this stuff that like I said, I've offended people, and
right.
not a lot, but I've done some things, and then I'll
Right.
be like, and then okay, for an example, I think I did something to somebody, and they was like, you said such and such, and I'm like, no, I ain't said nothing. You know what I'm saying? But then when I really dug deep enough
Right.
to
When
was
you
more
open
coaching,
that
then I'm
back
like,
up, that vault up,
oh damn, I
yeah,
did do that. You know what I
right.
mean?
But I
So
think when you don't forgive, it holds it keeps you bondage.
Yeah, you
Be-
holding on to something, but
something.
then who are we to not forgive when we every
Yeah.
day we asking for forgiveness?
We hold
That's
our.
my point.
So
Who if you can't
It affects
if
us
you can't
more.
forgive someone, then you should be the first one to stand in line saying, I'm not asking for no forgiveness.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just fair to say then we've all done something
Correct.
that's not right
But yeah,
by our own doings. We done things not right by others.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So
right.
the
Ain't none of
thing
us
is,
perfect.
what we hear today is, I guess we're trying to say is, let's learn to really be more forgiving and not hold grudges.
Mhm.
And let go of the
Towards
petty
others.
stuff.
Yeah,
And that's just practicing love. Just
yeah,
being. We don't. I think I don't know if it's a culture thing, but a lot of people that I know they'll forgive, but I think it's all in love. If people learn to
yeah,
just love and operate off of that, then you become more
yeah,
forgiving.
yeah.
I
See,
agree.
like people might not see it this way or want to believe it, but just like fashion, clothes is a fashion. Fashions come, they
Fashions
go,
Fashion
go.
go.
they come back.
Come
They
back.
come
But
back.
we see things, we like it, this, and whether we believe it or not, we don't know. But we done trained our thoughts to be not so forgiving. We
Mm-hmm.
done looked at things, we done experienced things, and hey, it's about being this type of way. And we done unconsciously bought right into that scheme of
Mm-hmm.
things.
Yep.
And when you go away from the right path, the righteous
Mm-hmm.
and the right path, this is what make us so susceptible to these type of things and behavior traits.
That's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we have another comment by Alexandria Lopez. The inability to forget certain things, whether positive or negative, can significantly impact a relationship, while
Mm-hmm.
remembering good times can strengthen a bond.
Yep.
Facts.
Clinging to negative memories, insults, and slights can lead to discord and
Absolutely.
strain the relationship.
Yeah.
Facts.
A
And
Agree.
partner who consistently remembers everything and
thing.
holds on
Mm.
grievances may become rigid and
Mm.
nitpicky,
Mm.
while
Mm.
the other
Ring the
partner
bell on
may
that.
feel burdened by the
Clap your
need
hand.
to consistently be accountable or remember things.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Broke
Facts.
that down.
So that response was sponsored by the internet and AI. I'm just joking, Miss Lopez. I'm joking. Smile. But yeah, thank you.
But
Facts. We totally
that's
agree.
absolutely
That was
correct.
well put, well said.
Yeah, I
You
definitely
know what I
agree.
mean? And I totally agree with that. Because it
Absolutely.
can make you can hold on to something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, we got
Mm-hmm.
okay. Okay, well, I'll get to that. Let me make this
Mm-hmm.
point. Okay, so you can hold on to something for so long, you know what I mean, to where it makes you bitter, not better. I would say it's kind of like
Yes.
you taking poison and waiting on me to die.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's best, like you say,
Yeah.
it makes you angry without action, makes you bitter, not better. And so
Yeah, it's been
you
described as
holding on.
Especially
as
Yeah.
like a
especially
cancer. It's like a cancer.
Now, if Miss,
What did you say? Anger without action?
yeah,
Okay, explain that part.
well, anger without action. You know what I mean?
So anger. So somebody do something to you, but you don't respond, but you mad.
Without action, yeah, it
without
makes you
action.
bitter.
It makes you
that'll make you
bitter.
bitter, not
Because
better.
you holding it
Like
on
you
the
done
You
slapped
inside.
me.
holding on.
You done
It's
slapped
just
me in
like
the face,
it's like
and
you
I
It's
do
an
didn't
something
respond
to
to the
internal
me.
slap.
thing.
If you do something to me, and then I'm sitting up here, Now you done went on about your life. You done did what you did. You went on about your business. But I'm sitting up here holding it close to my chest, and I got it inside of me.
Yeah.
So it's like me taking poison, waiting on you to die.
Right. But it's like we said on part of the thing. That's that grudge.
Yeah.
So that's a grudge.
Yeah.
And you sit there, you never said, but you see the person, you know, your face
and
tear up,
that causes
you get away.
That causes
people
from to do get back.
Yeah, you know,
they want they working off
an excuse to get back.
Yeah.
Get to do what you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It gives
To
them
get back
excuse,
on the person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's deep.
I have if she's still listening, I have a question.
Maybe she can call in.
What's her name?
Can she call?
Alexandria.
Yeah, if she can't call in, because I have a question for her. You know, I have a question for her if she'll call in because she got some very good responses
very valid
and answers.
For real.
Do y'all mind if I put my 1 cent in here?
Give us what you got.
Yeah.
Okay, so my penny of the day, based on what I've heard, is based on what you were saying. You forgive yourself.
Yeah, I done found that it ain't hard for me to forgive me.
Right. And you feel better.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not gonna keep if I
harping on it.
I'm not finna keep carrying.
But right, you basing that on
gotta let that go.
You done the right thing.
Right, I did the right thing
for the misunderstanding.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now I'm not finna stay here and keep holding this.
Oh, you not in the arrogant way.
That's how I hurt you. You know, I know what I said to hurt you. No.
Yeah, you don't mean that in the arrogant way. That hey, I was so well and I don't have no feelings or remorse. You mean after you've done the right thing, you went in and apologize and address the person properly. You move on, which we should.
Okay. So where do you think that comes from? That kind of mentality or viewpoint?
I believe that it comes from just who you are. It's part of you. You know what I mean? You know, for me,
if you wired up like that, because
everybody
wired
that's
up
where I'm
like
going.
that.
I think that it depends on
because some people just hold on
your journey.
And see, it's not healthy to hold on to stuff like that. Negative. I call it negative energy or whatever. Because if I'm holding on to it, eventually it's gonna come out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So I'm this type of person. I hold on to stuff.
And
that's
dangerous.
I'm telling y'all what I do.
Well, I'm just saying it's dangerous.
I used to.
Like you're proud of it.
Can I just finish my point? So I hold on to stuff, and I understand that I've done stuff to people. So I don't expect to be forgiven. So my thing is, I've already dug the graves, my grave, and whatever other graves that I say I'm digging, because it's not always time to respond, but when it's time to respond, the responses have to happen. I'm not gonna make the last statement I did at one that had y'all like, oh,
you get radical.
So
do you?
Right.
You stand up business
your business.
No reflection. No reflection.
Views and opinions of everything said is mine.
Yeah.
So and I'm saying, like, I don't create problems. I try to build bridges and create solutions. But in my experience growing up in this community in Flint, Michigan, that has been pointed at as a negative. Like, oh, you one of them good boys, or you one of them people that's like, I'm telling you my experience. So for me, I had to defend myself in different situations. Like, man, why you bothering me? Go bother the person that created the problem for you. I might have been a bystander looking, and it may have been a joke, and I laughed, but don't point me out. Or just because I got on a button-up shirt because my mama loved me and they had a couple extra dollars, bought me a shirt. I still live down the street from y'all, So what is you bothering me for?
Okay.
Or I make my money the way I make it, and yours different, and you upset it. Why? Leave me alone. So when things occur and happen, I think this is a call coming. Let me see. Let's see. I think we got a caller. Not sure. Let's see.
Call from Alexandra.
Oh, I got to shut up because she done hung up. You got to call back. So for me, I just say that I hold on to things, and
that's not healthy.
Well, I mean, I think that's relative to the person that do it, because of this. We had the Civil War.
Taking the poison, waiting on them to die.
Yeah,
I ain't waiting on nobody to die. If it's time for them to die, or it's time for me to create that opportunity, then that's what it is. So, because it's always something that people plan for you, and I look at it like, take the Civil War. People still celebrate that every year. They lost. They still reenact it. They create situations to make think tanks and things that we ignore and act like don't exist to keep us in certain spaces. There's only a
Period.
small percentage of us that
there
are
you go.
successful, and it's
It
purposeful.
keeps you
That,
right
that
there.
it keeps us there on purpose.
But
So-
you keep yourself there.
Alexandra Lopez.
To accept.
Caller, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Caller? Okay, call. We
Yes.
can hear you.
I can.
Go ahead with what you're saying.
No, I was just wondering what was the question that
Oh, you coming
the
for a
young man
question?
had for me.
Yeah. Well,
No, didn't somebody ask me to
Yes.
call in?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay,
Most
here I
definitely. It was the young man with the glasses on.
Well, it's two of
Of
us.
course.
With the dark glasses.
I was just messing with you.
Good evening, everyone.
But anyway, the question was, for the way that you hear people describing being, unforgiving and holding grudges, where do you feel that, that come from? How do you think people were so easy to buy into that mentality?
It's a lot of noises in the background. I don't know if you can hear me okay. Would you be able to answer the question, repeat your question again?
Yes, my question is, where do you think people got that mentality from of being so non-forgiving and holding grudges? Where do you think that come from, and what you think is associated with being able to develop that mentality?
Unhealed, lack of healing,
No,
lack of growth.
Lack of growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I disagree with both of y'all
Maturity.
Hold on.
because I've
Well,
grown in
it's-
leaps and bounds.
But you
And-
you
It-
growing in leaps and
It's okay.
bounds.
It's okay.
But we all don't grow in all areas though.
I don't grow in forgiving. I haven't. I don't.
And have
So-
you tried it?
So
No, because
You
then
should try it.
Hey,
you
let's
don't.
finish.
you-
We got it
got
wrong.
So-
Let's
Yeah.
let's call her speak.
it,
Yes, sir.
okay. So I grew up in a lot of chaos. I grew up with a very toxic environment. And through the process of growing up, many things happened to me.
It went dead.
She's still on?
You still there, caller? Did you put us on mute?
Yes. No, I am listening. So what I was trying to say was, I grew up with a lot of chaos. My family, my home was very toxic. And around the growing up, many things happened to me. And for a long time, I was bitter. I was angry because of the things that, no, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Okay, we can hear you better.
I
now.
think
No, we
you
can
got
hear
two
you better
conversations
now.
going on because I don't know what you
I
kind of
hope you
went
can
short.
hear me all right.
We hear you loud and
Well,
clear.
now she just faded out.
We hear you loud and clear,
Hello,
but
hello?
I think it might be something in your background.
Her phone, it keeps fading out.
I think she got something going on in the background of her.
Hello?
We
Hello?
can hear you.
The last thing did we heard was you said that you grew up in a toxic background, a lot of
Hello?
chaos.
Yeah, she got something
She
going on.
can't
with
hear
her
us or
phone.
something.
Hello?
We
Hello?
can hear you.
Can you
All
hear?
right. For some reason, I cannot hear you guys, but I
Oh.
pray that you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we
So
can.
growing up in a very bad environment, it created me to be very angry and full of unforgiveness. So for a long time, I struggled with letting go. And the things that I was holding on was against my parents, was against the people that done some things towards me. But in the process, I moved to America, which I was able to detach myself from all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I was able to detach myself from all those things. In the process of detaching myself, I was able to detox myself Because in order to grow, you have to detox from the things that had stopped you from growing. And we're not talking about the physical growth, we're talking about the mental growth. Sometimes
Yes.
we grow up in an environment where the things that happen to us in relationship and husband and friends and sisters and brothers, some relationship will stay long enough to become the environment of the relationship. And the only
Absolutely.
way to grow and become something different is to making a change. You can't grow in an environment, and we're talking about growing mentally, because it will take a mature person to let go of the pain that somebody created into yourself. I loved when the young man with the hat said, "I can't. I'm drinking poison. Being angry and the lack of letting go, it will stunt your growth.
Yeah.
It will stunt your growth. If your mind ain't right, your body won't operate." So when I moved to America 23 years ago, that was hard. I was very depressed. I was very sad. I was accustomed to that toxic environment. For 5 years living here, I couldn't even accept that I was living here, even though the life that I was building here was better. But I missed that life that I had there because I couldn't picture myself living differently than what I was told or taught to live. So when I moved to this place and I began to study, educating myself, learning different language, it learned patterns that I wouldn't be able to learn if I would have had still in the same environment. So now I look at my peers with mercy because now I understand why they act the way they act, how they solve conflict. It was lack of knowledge, lack of maturity. I looked at my parents till this day, and they in their 70s, and they still immature. That means they have never moved from that growth. They never went to different places. They never have met people with different goals. They have never met people that solve problems differently. If you stay with people, and that can be your kids, that can be anybody that solves problem and chaos, you're gonna become a chaos. And you can't forgive because they can certainly stab on their pain. You there, they there. In the moment the argument just breaks up, you guys are remembering things. It has to be a detach. It has to be a separation. In order for us to let it go, we gotta grow. In order for us to grow, we gotta move. In order for us to move, at time to heal things. You are never gonna forget because it's gonna become. It's gonna make you. What doesn't kill you will make you strong. It's not everything that you're going to remember to stay bitter. You're going to remember to create that boundary. Like if you forget everything they did, you're going to let them come in to the environment that you now created. That's good. So you're going to have to detach. You don't forget everything. Some things you can forget, but some major things, you got to remember why you moved away. You got to remember why you let the person go. Because if you bring them to the table again, you might eat some raw food, and you don't want that.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And in some cases, it's called cognitive dissonance.
I hope you guys can still listening. I'm not able to hear you guys, but I appreciate what you guys. That's a door that needs to be open. People need to hear, but the most of it all, we have to grow mentally. Because if we hold on to things that happen,
you can't because it stunts your growth. I mean, it stunts you. Your
Can you hear us now?
It's not gonna happen.
Can you hear us now?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, we can't. Okay, we can't hear you, but
we heard you loud and clear.
We heard you loud and clear. You couldn't hear us, but
a lot of good points there.
I hope that
everybody heard that.
Everybody that's watching was able to hear. What's how you pronounce your name?
Alexandria Lopez.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope that everybody that was that tuned in for the show could actually hear what she had to say because she said some very valid points.
A whole lot of them, and it's so true.
And I'm gonna not say nothing for the rest of the show after this. I don't agree.
Okay, but why you disagree?
I'm gonna tell you this. I agree because I have experience.
I agree as well.
And
I definitely agree.
I have experience in everything, and I felt that emotionally and mentally with that. of what she was saying.
Yeah,
That
because you
because
have to let go
if
to
you
grow.
don't, if being in a relationship and when you things have happened, I can't. You have to forgive, because if you don't, you stay, a part of you stay angry, and then that promotes not nothing good. It don't make me
It's
better.
detrimental to your growth.
It's very, because I've noticed when you
Just
let
like the
go
young lady
and you
said,
forgave, now I can thrive.
That's
But when I
just
was
like her.
holding on,
She set
she
a good
said that.
example. I mean,
That's why
she
I
moved
could
to America
relate.
from another
Right.
country, I'm assuming. And she
Yes,
moved
and could
here,
you
and
imagine
then
what she went through
I mean,
back over
because
there?
she was voicing
I
it.
think it was
Yes.
language barrier. I'm
Yes.
sure.
Oh, and it was probably all kind of stuff going on.
And then culture.
Like she said, in her family.
She shared a little bit of her history.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And it's back to what I was
And
saying
I could
on an,
totally relate to that because I have been through that.
right. But like I was saying on another show, when you come and you got a chip on your shoulder, thinking you've been through something, and like I tell you, everybody has a story, and
Everybody
sometimes
has a
not to
story.
make light of yours to theirs,
Mhm.
but hey, this young lady just shared some deep stuff about
And
her
it
life.
seemed like she really
you
got
know,
emotional,
and she
at
learned
some
how to
point.
deal with it and change
Where
her
it didn't
way of
take her
thinking and
down.
approaching.
That where she went through might have could have took her out of here.
Oh yeah, facts. It could have took
Yes.
a lot of people
It
out of here.
could. What I've
There's
been
people that
through
leave here
could
that
have
left
took
here
me
today
out of
because
here.
some of the
And
same
I'm
things
just
she-
keeping it 100. That's why
Mhm.
I could relate to her.
Yeah.
Because I had to get stronger mentally. But the only way I could get stronger mentally
let go.
is when I start the forgiving process.
Yeah.
But did you hear one of the
Forgiveness.
important things that she said about her approach
Mm-hmm.
to
She
to the
had these-
toxicity and negativity?
Was she?
She sit and changed things. She changed her environment.
Yep.
She got away from it.
Yep.
Right. And then
I
when she
heard
went back
that.
after she said after
Absolutely.
she
So
grew, she
Got
went back
away
or
from
she
it.
talked to him, and you know what I'm saying. Now she was able to extend empathy,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to understand. I
right,
see why y'all
right,
are like y'all are, because I was
right,
just there, but I had to leave
Yeah.
with myself
right.
to extract myself from that situation in order to be able to grow.
To grow.
So when I came back, I can actually see and I say, okay, I could be more forgiving. You know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
for you.
But
You know
did
what
you
I mean?
hear what she said too? She never forgot.
Yeah, she said, yeah,
Right.
yeah, that
She
makes
never.
sense.
I mean,
And
you,
then, like
how
she said,
can you
she
forget?
said she do forget. She said, but it just all depends on how big of a, how deep it was the hurt.
Right, the wound.
Because don't get me wrong, because if you hurt me in such a way, I'll never forget. Because
Right.
if I see anything, if I do allow you
Absolutely.
back into my space, and I see anything remotely coming close to that, then I
Got
know
to go.
I gotta call you out on it before you take me there.
Yeah.
Before you even
And
get
I've
there.
done that.
Now,
So,
what
yeah.
about the part?
Block.
What about the part when she said she returned and said why she understand that the people in the shape they in mind wise? What
Yeah.
did she say
They didn't
about
grow.
that?
They didn't
They
grow.
Because
still immature.
why though? Why? Because they never seen nothing, didn't do nothing different,
Right.
never left outside that
Mm-mm.
circle, that environment,
Right.
and stayed there.
Right. But that's why I
And-
asked Grundy, have you tried it? Have you tried something different? Because you don't know when we think we are okay with how things are, that becomes our norm because we're comfortable with that. But until we try something different, do we get a different feeling and do we get a different emotion or a different mental
Which when
state?
you say when you try something different.
Yeah.
I mean, she just gave us a
And
good
she gave it-
testimony to that.
absolutely.
Which not only with that testimony,
Absolutely.
I look at it as an ingredient
Right.
that one could use in their
facts.
own
It was a
journeys.
whole lot of ingredients
Yes.
in that.
Facts,
But now
facts,
with
facts.
with this gentleman, I can't speak for him. I
Right.
can only ask him what makes him want to stay and
Right
so
there.
comfortable with the non-forgiving
Try
and things like that.
something different.
Well, you got to first find out the reason why he feel like being there.
Yeah.
You got to identify that first. We can suggest and say something all day long, but when a person is where they at,
Yeah.
and until you
And that's
find out
it.
what their reason
What
is,
got 'em there?
then you could try to come and let them come from there. We
And
can
that's
sit
where
here-
anybody with
Right.
Yeah.
that's in a
Right.
comfort zone
'Cause we
of
quick,
not
you know.
forgiving or just saying I'm done and move
Yeah.
on. Okay, well you comfortable with that. That's
Because
the-
when
that's
we
the-
not in that particular situation, we quick to say, "Hey, do this or do that," and it's not like that. You got to get a feel and talk to the person and understand where they're coming from, mind wise. Then maybe we could try and reach them and see if
Yeah.
they can see different.
with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Alexandria Lopez said forgiveness is important for both personal well-being and relationships.
Absolutely.
It will reduce stress, improve mental health, and foster healthier connections with others. Forgiveness allows people to let go of negative emotions, move forward from past hurts, and potentially repair damaged relationships. And then Latoya Jones she said some powerful words. I thank her.
Yeah,
Yes,
for
she
sure.
did.
Facts.
Yes,
She did.
yes.
She did.
She did.
Yeah, she
Straight
did.
up. You
I
gonna
mean,
get
she
this
broke
personal
that
here.
down
You
for
know, for
real.
real, because
And a lot of
she
people
was
need to
absolutely
hear
right.
that about that forgiveness.
Because too many of us, we hell bent on not forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so when you don't forgive, you can't grow.
You cannot.
You cannot grow. How can you grow when you don't forgive?
It's exactly.
That's a part of growth.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
learning, and
And
especially
it's
for your
example of
mental.
growth. Yeah.
And that's why you get suicidal people. You know, that plays a big part in it. You know, mental. You see people walking down the street going crazy. You know, it's because if they brought love into it, you don't know what's going to happen. If people learn to forgive and learn to love instead of hate and hold on to grudges, it'll be a better world out here.
Yeah.
For sure.
Everybody's hell bent on not forgiving. But but we'll be the first ones to ask for forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Because we all imperfect.
All I'm saying is some very, very valuable advice was given, and it'd be very wise for ones to take it and apply it if need be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because I can only imagine. And when we think we done been through something, it's people out here that been through way much worse.
But it's not nothing that anybody can go through or been through that someone else ain't already experienced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like for instance, I got my own way of doing things, and I'm not gonna sit here. I'm gonna speak on me. I do things the way I do it, but then until I got outside of what I was doing and happened to listen to something and hear something, and then I say, "Hey, man, you better take a look because this applies to you."
Mm-hmm.
And it's times I was in a depression and didn't even know it because I felt the way I was functioning was normal. Right. So I hope people take these serious conversations, these serious topics, and please get the fruits of it that can help you better yourself and help you grow. Because I was my growth was stunted before. Right. And until I listened and opened up is when change came for me. And I'm still a work in progress.
Yeah. And forgiveness is just we can't stress it enough how important
and I'm gonna tell
is.
you, I know someone I have to constantly say, because I talk to different people out here all the time. And I say, when you don't forgive, it keeps you in a reckless, you self sabotage yourself.
Yeah.
You keep, because you ain't forgave this person or this situation. You self sabotaging because no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. Well, if you don't, well, you're not progressing. You holding on to something, and if you let it go, now you can move forward. Let go of that and forgive.
But remember when I said it's like if you refuse to forgive someone. Remember when I said it's kind of like you taking the poison. Yeah. You waiting on them to die. You know what I mean? Because see, why you call yourself not forgiving, why you using all this energy to hold on to something towards you not forgiving somebody. That person that went on with their life, they ain't thinking about
because you ain't doing it for them, you doing it for
but
yourself.
But they ain't even thinking about what they did to offend you or something or whatever covert act that you feel that they did that makes you upset enough to where you feel like you don't want to forgive this individual. That individual is gone on by their day. They is not thinking about it. They sitting up here living rent free in your head, and you sitting up here worrying about something, trying to hold on,
and you can't even move forward.
And you ain't gonna grow. That person free.
Period. And I done seen it happen.
That person is free to go and free to grow.
Seen it happen.
That person is growing. They even went on and grew.
I'm a perfect witness of it. I'm watching it right now. I've been seeing it happen. So that's a very true statement.
Cool.
So Alexandria also said, grudges can become a way to cope with hurt or maintain a sense of control. Then Latoya Jones said, "Amen, Mike."
Thank you.
Oh, amen. Yeah, okay, yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
repeat that with
She said grudges can become a way to cope with hurt
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
or
that's
maintain a sense of control.
yeah,
and some people
facts.
do, they hold
That's
that to
another fact,
control the fact
important
that
fact,
I'm gonna hold on to this to keep me looking better
or
because
keep
I'm
me feeling better
feeling
within
better.
yourself.
Yeah,
You know, yeah. So that's
yeah,
and that gives you in control. That's the only
yeah.
control you got of the whole
So
situation.
I'm
It's
not
by
gonna
hold up.
forgive that
The
person
the
because it
only
make me feel better that I don't.
no, see, the only control you got. I mean, the only control you got in the whole situation is what you hold against this person.
That's it.
That's it. So if you let that go, you
You ain't
got
got
nothing.
nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, you said a
That's cold. That's
mouthful
cold.
then.
That's
Latoya
cold.
Jones
Wow.
said, Stephanie Winfrey.
That's
Ooh,
cold.
amen.
That's cold. That's cold.
We speaking on some
Yeah,
stuff.
that's cold. That's cold.
Nah, I said I wasn't
We
gonna say nothing else. But whenever y'all ready to talk about it and just not be one sided about it and see it
It's
Yeah,
from
not
one
my
side
being
is
my
about what
point,
sad.
because
somebody think.
the title is why is it so hard?
Right.
Why is it so
Right.
hard?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to forgive and easy to hold grudges?
Right. So are you saying you felt we was being one sided with you?
Yeah, most
Well,
definitely.
remember I just told her, I said, hold on,
Because
before
I understand that y'all have y'all viewpoint,
wait, allow
but I
me.
got mine.
Allow me. Remember when I just told her, I said, before we could just tell this man
Yeah,
what to
you
do,
did say that.
I said, no, let's hear him out and find out his reason why he feel the way he feel. So I
Because it's a
said,
reason.
give you the benefit of the doubt of hearing you out
Mhm.
because you
'Cause
know
it's a
what you
reason.
feel and you have your reason. So no,
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
not against you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a different way of thinking, and that's what makes a conversation beautiful.
Right,
When
right,
so,
right.
because if
Mhm.
we all sitting up here saying
That's
the
what makes
same
a
thing,
conversation a
but that's
conversation.
exactly. But if we all sitting up here saying the same thing, feeling the same, what sense would it ain't no conversation because
It
we all
ain't no
feel the same way.
conversation.
Right.
You know, just like you preaching to the choir, but when you somebody else interject and then
Mhm.
bring a different perspective, then we say, okay, I'm
Mhm.
not saying because I would never say you wrong. If anything, I just say I don't think that way, or and maybe I haven't been put in a situation to make me think that way. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
You got the mic?
Um, Lopez said, I agree with this young lady.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, for real.
So I just put it in a picture that most can understand. So like when it comes to the Flint water crisis, 11 years, the water killed people, murdered people. The man, one of the people that was working for the water department was killed. The woman whose son was on Time magazine was killed.
Mhm.
I believe they were murdered, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I don't forgive those people that were in control of that situation and are in control of that situation. They need to be in prison. They need to be, something needs to happen, period. Because when you have something that poisons
Mhm.
somebody, the same kind of poison that you saying you hold when you don't forgive, our water was 10 times worse than toxic waste. 10 times worse than poison.
Mhm.
10 times. And nothing happened. A lot of people talk. Snyder was in office. Now we got Gretchen Whitmore in office,
Mhm.
or Barack Obama came. Now
Mhm.
Trump's in office. Nothing happened
Mhm.
in order to rectify the deaths and the murders of the people that were affected here.
Okay.
So for me, as I went to different it was over 400 indictments that was surrounding that thing.
Mhm.
Ain't none of them go out. So I'm saying from everything, from the FBI to the city,
Mhm.
municipality, to the state of municipality, to the federal municipality, they suck. And somebody needs to have a head cut off.
Well,
Many people.
I get
The
that.
points and
But let me
views, you know,
but
about
I get
the
that.
beheaded and
And,
all
and
that.
for
Listen, I feel
I
your anger.
understand. Yeah,
I
but
feel
yeah,
your
But
anger.
yeah.
yeah,
I feel your anger.
I got something for that. Okay, but go ahead.
I feel your anger. Honestly, I do. But you know, I once had to tell some more people this thing here. See, we have a system, a government, and different things. But see, until certain individual highlighted things as touching take place, is when we want the proper order for things to take place. But then we done let so many things we neglected to stand on and go get the right laws passed and these type of things, So now people build their own teams and people can get away with things. Unfortunately, this is the world we've been living in, and until the proper things come to correct it, it's gonna be like this. They're not gonna be the only victims. They wasn't the only victims, but I'm not
But let me
saying I
say
don't
this.
have compassion for them. But you cannot once again sit and let that drive you to a zone of madness.
Or
Well,
even or
for
even
what?
a
I'm
zone
not
or not for
suicidal. I'm not crazy,
no
and I'm not in a
forgiveness.
state of madness.
Okay.
And I have
Okay.
my anger with what the subject that I chose to
Uh-huh.
speak on
Yeah.
is legitimate.
Okay, can I
Yes.
say this? Let me say this. I don't know if y'all watched the first 48 hours
Oh,
or
no, I call it first to tell before 8.
okay, there you go. Yeah. But it was one of them episodes where a man killed this lady's daughter. Now, murdered. That lady went to court. And I've seen this a few times where that lady forgave. She said it right in the court. She said, if I don't forgive you, then I will die. In my head, her mental, because you took my daughter. But because if I don't forgive you, I have to forgive you for what you did. And she said, I truly forgive you. It won't bring my daughter back and it won't make anything better but my mind. So sometimes forgiving, like he said too, it becomes a mental state and it's like a pressure just that it just relieves. And when she walked away, if people asked her, she said, I feel better. She said, I forgave that man. She said, I can't do nothing but forgive him because then how can I move on? Because now I'll be stuck in this anger state. I'm gonna be stuck in this madness. I'm gonna be stuck wanting to do something to him. She said, I can't stay stuck like that. And the only way to get unstuck was the forgiveness.
To
I
let go.
comprehend what you're saying,
Yeah,
but that's a percentage of a whole
I get that.
system machine.
You
So
know, now hold up. Can I say this,
I
George?
get that.
I'm listening.
And what you said was true, and I can definitely understand the anger part for real. You know what I'm saying? But when you when you really look at it, it's kind of like it's justice for certain people because you can be of a certain complexion or hue and do way less and get the whole weight of
Hmm.
of
We've
the
been treated
lady
like this all
justice
our life.
thrown at you. But then, you
Hmm.
can cause damage. Some of it is really irreversible. When you talk about the children, the lead, the
Yeah,
cognitive
the
part of it, you know what
mind.
I'm saying,
Hmm.
and things of that nature. You know what I mean. And then
It's
for
attempted
nobody,
murder.
hold on, listen, for
Yeah.
nobody to go nowhere, for nobody to get no type of prosecution.
Hmm.
I mean, they got prosecuted, but for no one to get found guilty, who was a jury of the peers that let them go? You know what I mean?
Well,
So
history
and
repeating itself.
Emmett Till.
yeah,
Emmett Till,
yeah,
history repeating
Emmett
itself
Till.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but see, that's why
time
that's
and
why
time
Jews hold.
again.
That's why the Jews always say when you talk about the Holocaust, they say never again because they're gonna make sure that you know about it.
That's
And
right.
see, like you say, Emmett Till, but you can ask. I didn't ask young men, young little boys, young boys. Hey, you ever heard of the Klan? And they tell me no. I've never heard of them. And just like if I asked them, saying young boys or any other young boys,
Hmm.
who is Emmett Till? They won't know. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm. And now, if I'm not mistaken, Emmett Till mother forgave. If I'm not mistaken,
no,
in the end,
she stood on that business.
and
She made sure that
she
did it.
stood
Hold on,
on
she made
business and
sure
she
that
put
they
it out
knew
there, and
What
she had
happened?
that
yeah,
casket open so they
Open.
could
She
Got an
see.
used
open casket.
every means of a
Absolutely.
weapon that
yeah,
she could
yes,
use
She
in
yes,
did.
order to
yes,
fight the battle to make
Yeah.
sure that her
yes.
son
Yeah.
got
It didn't
some
go in
type of
vain. Right.
justice.
But she couldn't operate in
And that
in
woman, before
anger.
she died, she said she lied.
she didn't forgive him.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm talking about the white woman that
Oh
lied
yeah,
on him.
yeah,
Said she
yeah,
lied.
yeah,
Before
yeah.
she
Right,
died, she
right.
said
Said
she
She lied
lied.
on him.
And
Yeah.
that was not too long ago. Didn't she recently?
That was about 5-6 years ago, or
Yeah,
somewhere
it
in
ain't
there.
been that long.
So,
yeah.
Sharita Turner, did I say that right?
Yeah.
She said that young man is yearning for justice.
Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
are, and
So-
yeah, because see,
Yeah.
you see justice happen to people that justice be served upon people that look like
So
us.
going what you saying, we accept a one-sided justice system. We accept that. We're in a space and time that we don't have to accept that.
Right.
Well, they
So
make
for
it
me,
hard.
during the Snyder administration, the Lieutenant Governor Cali, that was his Lieutenant Governor. I had a house on Court Street. He came to my house twice. We had a round table meeting with different people from the community.
Mhm.
The only rule that I had for people is that y'all not gonna disrespect this man and cuss him out and call him out his name. But y'all ask him whatever questions, whatever you need to ask, and I don't care how uncomfortable it is, we're gonna do that. So we did it. People from every community, from the people with barriers or disabilities community, from the LGBT community, from the Baptist church community, from Kojic church community, from everybody I could find and get in that room that I felt had a powerful enough voice for enough people to say something to this man that was second in charge of the state. We had that meeting. The meeting went so well in the sense of respect for the office that he asked to have another one, because he said, I want to do what I can to help. Whatever we can, George, I want to do what I can to help. So I'm thinking we're getting somewhere.
Okay.
I went to protests in Lansing before. We down there's me, Art Woodson, and some other folks. The same lieutenant governor walked up to me and gave me I said, I'm here because I'm against you. He said, I know, George, and gave me a hug. I don't know if it's because he felt like he got respect where everybody else was just talking. Because I'm like this. I don't have to scream loud or anything like that, because, some weapons are large and others are small, but they still deadly.
Absolutely.
And for me, it's like doing all of the things and trying to go into the system to do stuff. Y'all gaslighted me. I don't like to be played, because I don't play with people purposely. I don't use a position to put people in awkward situations so I can take advantage of them. So when you do that and you think that you're above the law, or you got different stuff going on that you protected, that's to be seen. That's to be found out. For me, the Snyder administration under Rich Byrd, it was one of his people, took me out twice and asked me what I wanted. Like, George, what do you want? What you want us to do? I don't even know what that means. But I know one thing, I ain't selling out nobody. My people. I know one thing, I know I want this water situation straightened out.
So I got a question for you.
And then I'm gonna say this, get out my head, because you see I'm
okay.
But the state police. So they called me up, one of the high-ranking people under the Snyder administration, asking some stuff about veteran things. Can you please come help this veteran? We need your help. I'm doing what I can to help. It seemed like a couple months after that, I'm getting pulled over left and right and getting harassed and all this other stuff. I ended up catching a gun case off the state police with a legal weapon. I'm like, what's the thing? Is this some kind of conspiracy theory? What y'all trying to do? So I'm saying my anger and my disappointment is coming because of life circumstances,
right?
Not necessarily because I the extremes that some people have had, because I got those stories too.
Yeah.
But my thing is, when it comes to this stuff like this, I still live in the city of Flint. I still have to shower and brush my teeth with this water, eat with it.
So do you feel like if you forgave, that you will lose the sense of fight, that you'll lose the sense of the power to fight if you forgave, instead of forgiving and still fighting and still doing what that you're called to do? I think there's a possibility where you can still forgive and still have that fight, instead of not the forgiving in the fight. I think that you're capable of doing that because you have the love for justice. But in the interim of that, I think you also have the power of the forgiveness part of it, and still fight for what you believe in. Because just because you forgive don't mean you lose your power to fight for what's right.
That's a great point and a great question.
Yeah, you don't lose that.
I have to
But
think about it.
actually you're gaining, because now you're gonna gain more strength in your fight because of your forgiveness. I forgive you, but I still got my fight going on. So I think you can gain.
I get it, but my life's been
because
threatened
I'm listening
before
to your story.
under
I
these
get what you're going
these
through.
different
I do
politicians
this.
and stuff
I'm
because
going
I
through.
had a voice and because I spoke up. So and that kind of that's for me, that's the wrong thing to do. When you're trying to put a fear on me or put something on me to make
I
me
get
feel
it.
like I'm supposed to be
Because I'm
inferior,
listening to you.
then it's
That's
like
me.
I don't care where you live. I don't care who you are because you're telling me that my life has no value. Now yours don't.
That was me. And I used to feel like that. And I used to feel like if I did not forgive, I'm losing my fight. But what I learned here, and when I tell you this was a journey
When somebody
for me,
puts something on your life,
this was a journey
when
for
somebody
me.
puts something on your life,
No,
and they tell you that your life is going to be gone,
I get that. That too.
That's unforgivable.
It absolutely. But at some point, Jesus walked, and they took him out so many times, but the walk continued to walk with the grace of forgiveness, which made him even stronger. When he stood up there, it made him even stronger to stand. So you have to have that forgiveness to give you the strength to do what you called to do. I'm telling you, I was you. Here in the last year, have I only became stronger in my strength of the power of the forgiveness. Because if I don't, it was making me weak at my fight. It was making me weak at my fight. I can't fight when I'm weak. But I noticed what was stopping me. It was my forgiveness. I had to forgive this person.
Yes, your forgiveness.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Lopez said, "Forgive and keep the fire."
Yeah.
Well said, my sister.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
You forgive and you keep the fire.
That's right.
But we're going to give a shout out to MUA Jock. Book her for your makeup needs. And that's at makeupismylife.com. Makeupismylife.com. MWA Jock. Makeup. Yeah, book her. MUA. I'm sorry, MUA.
Okay.
Jock.
Yeah. So like.
So I just thought I'd share that because when I listened to him, I was there, and I just felt like if I forgive, I ain't gonna be able to fight, because I'm mad and I got to keep the fight. But I realized now it made my strike, but it's making me learn how to fight better.
That's what. Yeah,
it's making me fight.
So let's take that. And what about this father whose son was killed by the police recently, and then he went and he responded by taking the life of an officer.
Oh, and you seen how they ice grilled him when he was
and they were trying to intimidate him. Right. So what about that? Because he was like, look,
I mean, everybody
it is what it is.
Everybody handle things differently. Yeah. Do it make it right or do it make it wrong?
He acted out of anger.
But everybody has their way of handling things.
Right. Yeah. He acted out of anger. For the love of your child, you will
he probably felt like he had nothing to lose at that point because everything that he had, he lost with his son. Yeah. So that could have been his only son. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, and that was his life. So now I got nothing else to lose.
I think that people are too quick to kill. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about him. Every action has a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So they shouldn't. I'm not condoning it in either way, but they shouldn't have been so gung ho about.
Absolutely.
About
right. It's just like you just said. His attitude is the same thing you was just saying. When something was done and you feel their head should have been tore off, that's what he felt should have happened to the one that did that to his son. That was his personal feeling.
Right. So, but so it's been a beautiful show tonight.
Yes,
you know
it has.
I mean? And
we can go on and on.
It definitely created some thoughts. It created some dialogue.
And hopefully help some people.
Yeah, and
to think about it.
I'm sure it did. And the callers that called in and those that made their points by sending the message in and whatnot. we appreciate y'all and appreciate your feedback, and it was very, very helpful. Very helpful in keeping the conversation going and keeping it live and bringing different opinions in.
Yeah.
And we thank y'all for that, for real.
And thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you
watching.
for joining us. Thank you for watching,
Share,
and participating.
Thank you. Always
And,
a pleasure.
I want to send a shout out to James Mayfield, the greatest Mayfield. You know what I mean? And yeah, and I like to thank Mr. George F. Grundy II.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah, keeping it happening. And then keeping that fire lit.
Yeah.
He keep that fire lit. That's a beautiful thing.
That's what we need, though.
Right.
We
but
need
they
that.
say the squeakiest wheel get the most attention. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, we
when
got to have
when
it.
people do something to you and you lay down and you be quiet about it, then that tells them, hey, let's just keep doing it because let's just keep doing it.
Yeah.
But if you stand up for yourself, it might be a couple casualties for standing up, but at the same time, they'll know, they can't continue to do whatever that is that they doing to you.
Yeah.
Ms. Lopez said the show was amazing.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Lopez.
you.
And just to let you know, she will be on Out of the Mud tomorrow at approximately 6:30.
Well, y'all check her out at 6:30. Make sure y'all check Ms. Lopez out. Support her show because she's definitely supporting this one.
Yeah,
she's a very wise woman. I can tell that.
Yeah, great dialogue. Great dialogue.
Great.
I watch her shows. Great dialogue.
Okay. All right. That's what's up. Well, I'm going to have to start tuning in myself, And that's a beautiful thing. And we enjoyed everybody. I enjoyed my co-host.
Thank you.
Stephanie Winfrey.
Welcome back. Been missing in action.
Yes.
And I did ask about her mom because if y'all remember last week, she wasn't here.
Doing
We
all
was
right.
definitely praying for her.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I like to shout out to Money Mike. You know what I mean? Thank you for coming through. You know what I mean, and sharing your portion of understanding. And and once again, it's Larry Lott. With Lessons with Larry, and I'm gonna go on, tune on off, and I'm gonna try to catch y'all next week earlier. And don't forget, check out Ms. Lopez's show tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Would you say 6 o'clock or 6:30?
6:30.
And check out Miss Tara Lisa's show. She
definitely another one. Good dialogue.
Another good, great dialogue.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We got some great shows on Out of the Mud.
Yeah, Out of the Mud, definitely putting it out there.
Check them out for real.
Last two comments.
Okay.
Sharita Turner.
Okay, go ahead.
Grief makes you do things you wouldn't do. And then Miss Lopez. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And everybody be safe until next week.
Okay, bye Sharita.
Bye Sharita. Bye Miss Lopez. Bye everybody else.
And Tanya.
Signing off for real.